commemorated permanently. Now we will move on to the regular meeting of the Public Library, Cincinnati Hamilton County. And Mr. Fazio will do the roll call, please.
Mr. Hendon.
Here.
Mrs. Strauss. Here. Mrs. Lamacchia.
Here.
Mr. Wright.
Here.
Mr. Sittenfeld.
Here. Public comments.
None.
All right. On to the consent agenda. The minutes of the regular meeting of February 10, 2015 have been circulated. Is there any suggested amendments, deletions, or corrections? Do the entire at once, all right. You have in front of you then as well. The investment report, the monthly financials, the personnel, the statistical. Do we actually approve the top 10?
Yeah, move to accept.
I have a question. I have a second. I have a question on the statistical report. I just briefly through it. Looks like our usage is down.
It is.
Any reason for that?
Well, partly I think in February was the weather,
Right.
but we made some policy changes last year that encouraged use that now we're competing against what was some pretty substantial growth in the prior year. So I think it's just going to be a little slower this year. We're doing what we can. Check out a book before you leave. Help us out. Do your
Can't
part.
read.
Okay, a movie. We'll take it.
Or perhaps a picture book. It has been
The
moved and
words are big.
seconded.
I can see it.
Any further suggested additions, deletions, corrections, or are we prepared to vote on the consent agenda? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The next order of business is the Eva Jane Romaine Coombe Director's Report. Kim Fender.
Thank you. Well, first of all, we are celebrating National Library Week this week, and our board president, Mr. Sittenfeld, has written a guest column for the Cincinnati Enquirer for us. I attached a copy of that. It has not yet been published, so you're seeing it pre-publication, but we anticipate it being published later this week. And we want to recognize that Deputy Director Greg Edwards is participating in the current session of United Way BOLD program, the Board Orientation and Leadership Development Training. So we're glad to have him in that and look forward to him assuming a role on a local nonprofit board upon its completion. The Ohio Library Council's Legislative Day is coming up on April 28th. We have now scheduled meetings with all 10 of our senators and representatives from Hamilton County. The House Finance and Appropriations Committee Chair Ryan Smith will be speaking to attendees at 9:30, so we will be there bright and early. Our emphasis will be on the state budget, which provides the 2/3 really of our funding, so it's really important to us. And we have a handout, so there was a copy of that attached, and that gives some ideas of what we would do with the additional funding if we got a funding increase. And each of those handouts will be customized to this particular district of the senator or representative. So it will have stats about the libraries in their district on the back of that page. They will receive the red logo bags that you had at your seats with a golf ball customized using the Eggbot printer in the Makerspace and a watercolor portrait printed on the watercolor bot inside that. We did not give you golf balls or portraits. So see us later if you would like a golf ball or a portrait. As mentioned a little bit in the Legislative Day piece, the state budget process is underway. The governor introduced his budget on February 2nd and included a mix of tax cuts and increases. And if it was adopted as submitted in total, we would get an increase in public library funding by about 6% in the next fiscal year and 4% in the second fiscal year of the budget. But it is really unlikely that that will happen. We're hearing that some of the tax cuts are being approved and some of the tax increases, but not the full mix included in the governor's budget. So an amendment to raise the percent of the general revenue fund that goes to the public library fund from 1.66 to 1.75% was introduced. I have not heard yet whether or not that amendment will be included because the House budget bill will be introduced this afternoon at 3 o'clock. So we won't know until later today what they're actually including. That's the scheduled time, but it's often a little later than 3 before we actually see it. Representative Driehaus, we want to thank her for being a sponsor of that amendment with Representative Anielski. So until we know what those revenue changes are and what amount of tax revenue they will actually generate, it is almost impossible for us to know what the budget will provide us in terms of funding. So we are making amendments to numbers that we don't know, but we'll keep doing that. And so the chair of the Senate Finance Committee is Senator Olslager. He's asked that we present testimony before both the full committee as well as our assigned subcommittee, but we have no specific dates for that testimony. And once we know what's in the House version of the budget, we'll know how to tailor our message to that appearance before the Senate Finance Committees. Are you all thoroughly confused about the state budget process? If so, I have done my job. So it is a confusing time. American Library Association also has a legislative day, and that is May 4th and 5th in Washington. It does not have the same kind of financial impact for us, but it is still important for us to attend. And Elaine Fay, our new Community and Government Relations Coordinator, and I are planning to attend. Funding for the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which provides those LSTA grants that we occasionally get, has been completely eliminated at the federal level. So there is a great deal of concern over that. We do want to thank Board Chairman Mr. Sittenfeld for arranging accommodations for Elaine and me that are both very conveniently located and much less expensive than the Conference Hotel, which was over $500 a night, and instead we're at less than $200 a night. So substantial savings for us over the
There is no
2
indoor
nights.
plumbing where you'll be staying.
I was just gonna ask, is the
We are-
light bulb in the middle of the room, pull chain?
We are willing to make those sacrifices for that kind of savings.
And you're gonna have to go and stay an hour away for $500.
No, we don't.
You were going to have to.
We were going to have to stay
She's a
away.
good Girl Scout, she can camp.
Yeah, Elaine, did you know that? So she's here. She's kind of like, what? So, at the December regular meeting, we reported that we needed to add legal representation for matters that did not rise to the level of prosecutor's office and for labor issues as well. So we did issue an RFP and received responses from Dinsmore and Scholl, Calfee, Halter and Griswold, and Frost Brown Todd. After reviewing those proposals, we are recommending Frost Brown Todd to provide legal services. They have experience with public libraries in Ohio, offered a competitive hourly rate, and we're also willing to provide a discounted monthly rate for the initial 50 hours of service. So that would be our recommendation. Are there any? This is one of the few action items in my report. No questions?
Should we go ahead and do a motion now?
No, we can just do it
Later.
all at once. The International Federation of Library Associations is holding its 82nd World Library and Information Congress in Columbus in August of 2016. So nearby libraries were invited to submit proposals to host a tour for librarians in attendance. Our proposal was accepted, and we will be hosting a tour of international librarians on August 19, 2016. Surely we can plan something fun by then. So we look forward to having them there, and we plan to spend the morning at Maine, then visit Clifton and Reading branch libraries in the afternoon. So we'll have them with us all day. We are also participating in the United Way of Greater Cincinnati's Day of Action, Bridging the Summer Learning Gap, on June 20th from 10 to 3. This is one of their main celebrations of the 100th years of United Way in Cincinnati. So we will be doing largest story time. We wanted to make it the world's largest, but then we found out that having Guinness actually come and certify it and everything was quite expensive and difficult. So we're just going to call it the largest story time and let somebody prove us wrong. And so we'll have people on the Purple People Bridge just suddenly breaking into a story time at the same time for all of the people in attendance to enjoy, and also a life-size Deweyland game, which is similar to Candyland. So we'll be highlighted in all their promotional materials, and we'll have a booth at the event as well. That should be a fun day. Our marketing department is using our Orange Boy Savannah messaging system to customize our email messages to our card holders. So what we've been able to do is target those messages to specific groups called clusters, and we did attach here as an exhibit for you what those clusters are for our system. And this is based on looking at groups of card holders and their behaviors. Several recent messages have been very successful. We sent out a notice about the new ebooks and e-audiobooks to the Hot Author service, and that went to digitarians, transitionals, and occasionals. It hit a click rate of 12% and saw Hot Author subscribers increase by over 2,000 in the 2 days following the email. A new recurring read-alikes message was sent to digitarians, page turners, and transitionals, with also a 12% click rate and an 18% increase in holds for the titles included in the message. March was National Read Aloud Month, and we sent several promotions about reading aloud to children. An infographic containing several books for varying age categories resulted in an overall 31% increase in holds. In email marketing, 4% is considered a good click rate, so at 12% we're getting a lot more attention than what we would normally get, and so we plan to continue those efforts. And Chris is here as well, so this is his work. I just get to talk about it. We have developed some customized presentations for each of the 22 public school districts located in Hamilton County. Each presentation includes a branch listing and contact information specific to that school district. And because we have 40 branches, 22 school districts, some of the school districts have multiple branches within their district. I think there's only one school district that does not have a branch within it. I think that's Finneytown Schools is the only one that does not have a branch.
What's their closest branch then?
What's their closest branch to Finneytown? I'm asking Elaine because she put this all together. College Hill.
Yeah.
So it has detailed information about specialized resources and services to students, types of library cards, web resources, education-based programs, just all the information that we provide, services we provide to schools and students pulled into one presentation. So we made it hopefully easier for them to know about these services. Ideally, it's something they could put on their own intranet within their district. They can email to their teachers or their principals. They could do things with it they could not do with a print handout. So library staff will have a brief introductory meeting with each school superintendent and will provide them with the USB drives with the district-specific presentations at that time. We are looking at changing the technology for board meetings. With half of the meetings held at branches, we have to move these laptops each time we do it. So we're looking at getting iPads or another type of tablet instead to make it a little easier to set up at a remote location.
Why, we used to all bring our own papers to the board meeting. Why don't we just bring our own iPads?
Does everybody
Why
have
to
an
spend
iPad?
money for extra
Everybody
iPads?
has their. We'll probably have a couple spares in
Well,
case
if we
somebody
have a couple
forgets.
spares, but I think we could just bring our own iPads.
Or print our own.
Well, we have to have a couple paper copies anyway for our official bound copies, so that's not a problem.
Mrs. Lamacchia should be complimented for her fiscal stinginess.
We call it stewardship.
Stewardship, excuse me. I knew it started with S.
Stewardship, yeah. We're looking at a change in service. It's a courtesy renewal. There's a current trend in libraries to automatically renew all items checked out on a due date rather than requiring borrowers to renew items themselves. This is becoming more common, and we've considered how this impacts our library. So instead of automatically renewing all checkouts for the full 8 renewals we allow, we are planning to provide a courtesy renewal for the first renewal only. I see Tara down there all excited. We can then evaluate the impact on our collections before extending the service to additional renewals. Not surprisingly, the libraries doing this report that their cardholders are very happy with the service. So we are not surprised by that. Just a quick update that Overdrive, our primary source of ebooks, has been sold to a Japanese firm. They're reporting right now that the headquarters for Overdrive will remain in Cleveland with Steve Podash continuing as CEO, but we don't know how this will actually impact our ebook lending. But we expect it to impact somehow. The Friends held their most recent book sale at Madeira, grossing $4,896. Their fiscal year ended March 31st. Their next book sale will be at the main library May 30th through June 5th. The Friends annual and quarterly meetings will be held May 8th at 11:30 and 12 at the main library if anybody wants to attend.
How did that rate with last year at Madeira? You know?
It was down.
It was down.
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't, I think I did look back at some of the previous sales, and it was lower than the most recent.
It did seem
sales.
low to me.
Yeah, for Madeira especially. Sorry, it's either take a drink of water or start coughing. Everyone around me would prefer that I not do that. Yeah, he wants to sit over there now. At the February regular meeting, you approved terminating the current services agreement with the Friends. We are negotiating on that new services agreement. The Friends are greatly concerned that we might sell some of our withdrawn materials through the GovDeal auction site or other arrangements. In years past, the Friends have lacked the capacity to handle the volume of donations and withdrawn items, resulting in a consistent backlog on the loading dock and at branch libraries. The Friends have proposed a 6-month trial with all library withdrawn materials and donations going to the Friends. So we think we'll know well short of that 6-month time period whether or not they really can handle that volume. But I'm reluctant to agree to a contract that requires us to give them all to them unless we are assured that they can truly handle it. There are some branches that have 100 bins sitting that they've not been able to ship for months because the Friends are not able to handle that backlog. So.
We've had discussions, and what I have suggested I think might be the appropriate spirit to support Kim Fender with is that all decisions should be made in the context very simply of what best suits the needs and efficiency of the public library system. We're dealing with nothing but well-intended people and participation in organizations. But if there is a choice that has to be made, it has to be determined by what is the most prudent and sensible and efficient for the library system. And I hope that that's congruent with the conversation that we had in February.
Thank you. On the Library Foundation, the Foundation endowment has reached the $4 million mark. The Foundation received the following grants and gifts. A grant in the amount of $96,000 from the Marge and Charles Schott Foundation to support homework helpers at 16 branch libraries for the 2015-2016 school years. That should pay the entire cost of that program, so a very generous gift. A gift of $15,000 in memory of Babette Bright Kern to support the new Reading Branch Makerspace, and a plaque acknowledging that gift will be placed at the branch. The bequest of $50,000 from the Marie Leonard Estate was received, and a little short of $10,000 was received from the Eleanor Hazelton Estate from U.S. Bank Trust Department. Retired Hamilton County Law Librarian Carol Meyer-Keener died in December of 2014. Mrs. Meyer-Keener was a strong supporter of the St. Bernard Branch Library project and attended the groundsbreaking last spring. She has, and actually I knew Carol when I first became a librarian in the Cincinnati area. She requested that gifts in her memory be directed to the Library Foundation, and that the books she and her husband had collected for many years be given to the foundation, with any proceeds from the sale of those books benefiting the St. Bernard branch. And we've already emptied, I understand there are multiple homes involved in this gift, and we have removed all of the books from one home.
85 boxes.
So she and her husband collected a lot of books.
From one home, 85 boxes.
Was there a focus to the collection?
We heard that there were a lot of cookbooks, a lot of autographed copies, and military history. I was not there personally, but
Quite a few items. Some of them obviously.
yeah.
Would you have a book sale at St. Bernard's then for them?
First thing we're doing is going through them and seeing what ones we might want to add
Add
to
to
St.
the
Bernard
collection.
Branch collection, yeah. And then assess the condition, so, and then go from there. But yeah, there might be. The St. Bernard Branch Library was also designated as the beneficiary of 2 funds totaling $132,000. In recognition of this gift, I'm requesting that the board approve naming the St. Bernard Branch Library Meeting Room in memory of Mrs. Keener and her husband William, who preceded her in death. So we don't have the exact wording of that yet, and we don't have the cash in hand, so there are a couple things that need to happen, but because of the imminent opening of those branches, we wanted that approval now, so if at all possible, we could acknowledge her gift at the branch opening.
It would be done simultaneous with the dedication.
Yes, if we can. In summer learning sponsorships, the program has donated $5,000 in gift cards for adult prizes, and Western Southern has contributed their annual $5,000 to the program, and their next meeting will be April 22nd. So 2 approvals in there.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Both carried. Any questions for Kim? All right, on to the Finance and Audit Committee.
So my report is entitled Revisions to the 2015 Annual Appropriations and Estimated Resources in 2016 Operating and Capital Budget. As Kim indicated earlier, trying to get our arms around this is almost puts me in the role of being like a soothsayer, so I don't want to be that person. And actually, what I'd like to do is maybe just defer, because it's sort of, it's unwieldy to read sort of finance reports. So Molly might be better at
Okay.
sort of capturing the themes of it.
Okay. The first thing is revision of the 2015 annual appropriations and estimated resources. The increase in revenues and expenses of $183,000 is necessary to account for the procedure change of monthly billing of the Friends to be reimbursed for expenses previously paid directly by the Friends. The increase in revenue and expense of $15,000 is to account for the gift for Makerspace at Reading. And there's an increase in revenue and expense of $132,000 to account for the gift from Carol Meyer Keener for the St. Bernard branch. Those amounts are detailed in there, in the building and repair fund is part of the Keener gift. The rest are all accounted for up in the gift fund. So the 2016 budget, the Hamilton County.
Which, by the way,
Yeah.
has to be submitted before the state passes their budget and we have any idea of what revenue we're getting. So just,
That's just ingenious.
Yeah,
so
And
Molly
predictable.
was also guessing.
yeah, there's lots of guesses. That's why I put some into, that's what I do, right there. Roll the dice. So what we have to do first is send the Budget Commission a request to file a modified tax budget. We've been doing this since 2005. I submitted that request for 2016 on April 6th. This is just to let you know that that has been done. With regard to the operating budget of $57,975,000 is 5% more than 2014 appropriations, provides for allowances for increases in salary rates and other categories of expenditure in support of the strategic plan of the organization. In 2015, we'll be revising the current pay schedule, which was adopted in 2012, which may result in an increase in overall salaries. The capital budget includes future plans for a branch in western Hamilton County and ongoing accessibility projects. Based on population data, western Hamilton County is growing more than any other county in the area. We have included $6 million for ongoing maintenance in 2006.
16.
6 million, in 2016, sorry. But that 15 million is assuming that we get all of the money from the PLF that we're requesting. And we're requesting 23% more than we got last year. So we just have enough in there to cover everything. The contingency's still the same as they always have been. The carry forward will remain, well, it shows 0 here. Again, that's because we have to put the total PLF that we want to get. Let's see, the local tax is staying the same. Library revenues are staying relatively flat. And then, as I said, the 5% increase in operating expenditures. So that's it.
I was behind.
Sounds great. Anybody have any questions or concerns? A lot of numbers, and these are very important things to attend to because it helps us run the organization. Anybody got any questions? All right, well, submit the report.
Thank you both very much.
We need a second.
I'm sorry, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next, Mrs. Strath, the Human Resources Committee.
For group benefits, we are currently in negotiations for the renewal for group medical benefits for 2015-2016. Premiums for our health care coverage are expecting to be under 5.95% increase. We are recommending no change to the cost sharing for the plan for the upcoming benefit year. The employee-employer premium shares remain the same, 16%/84%, and the library will continue to contribute 25% towards the deductible into their health savings account. This increase means that the staff will have a slight increase in their monthly premium. The renewal for the dental plan has not yet been finalized. At this time, we are expecting under a 3% increase. We are also requesting that the cost shares remain the same for the dental plan, 35%/65% employee-employer premium share. The actual contribution rates will be communicated to the staff as soon as the senior leadership team has finalized the agreement with Anthem and MetLife. National Library Workers' Day. Today, April 14th, is National Library Workers' Day, a day that communities across the country are recognizing the valuable contributions made by all library workers. National Library Workers' Day focuses on how libraries depend on the important work done by each and every library staff member and department. This year, staff names will be entered into a drawing for a themed gift basket or membership in a local organization, compliments of the Friends of the Library, the Library Foundation, and the Armstrong Fund. Staff has also been encouraged to wear appropriate blue jeans, a library logo shirt, and their service pins today. The managers received gift cards from Kroger to use for their respective locations this week. Finally, our marketing team developed short videos showing the work of some of our staff using a GoPro camera. OCRC charged dismissed. On Tuesday, April 7th, 2015, the library received a letter of determination from the Ohio Civil Rights Commission, stating the decision to dismiss the charge made by Pamela Rogers. C.H. Chow versus Administrative BWC settled. As reported at the December board meeting, the library received notification from the Ohio Attorney General's office that Janet Chow, an employee of the library, had brought a complaint against the Bureau of Workers' Compensation and the library. A settlement was reached with the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation and Janet Chow. New OCRC charges. On April 7, 2015, the library received notification of 7 discrimination charges filed with the Ohio Civil Rights Commission by Marvin Dickman. The 7 charges named 5 specific locations: the Clifton Branch, the Wyoming Branch, North Central Branch, Montford Heights, and 3 charges for Main Library. The charges state that he believes he was subject to denial of hire because of his race, color, sex, disability, age, religion, and national origin ancestry. Our labor attorney, Robert S. Brown, is working to resolve the matters.
So we got one dismissed and a new one filed on the same day.
We're all protecting classes.
Questions for Mrs. Stroud? Comments? Thank you.
It does need action because of
Yeah.
the benefits.
We need a motion, I'm sorry. Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Next, Mr. Hendon, our library operations.
Update on the 3 projects nearing completion. Yay. Clifton, the hardwood flooring in the first floor has been sanded and been sealed. The interior wood trim is nearly complete.
90% of the walls have been primed and painted. The elevator is 90% installed and site work has begun. We request a sign variance from the Cincinnati Zoning Department. There's a hearing. Our architect and library staff, Greg Edwards, attended. The decision is expected within 2 weeks from the date of the hearing. What was this variance for?
Location, from the property line, as well as total square foot. sign.
Yeah.
Ours is high, within the square foot, within code, but the height was a little higher, but it didn't seem in the hearing that there was any concern about it, but we'll find out hopefully today.
All right, Clifton Community Fund sign. Clifton Community Fund has approached the library proposing an exterior digital sign to be used to promote library and community events to be added to the branch. The sign will be paid for by the fund with the library contributing installation, the equipment to operate the sign, and costs associated with the upkeep. If approved, staff will work with the Clifton Community Fund on selecting and installing the sign. And then there's listed the hours of operation, which you have in your report. Contingency remaining $23,000 plus a little bit. Lease cancellation for the Clifton branch requires a 4-month notice of cancellation. We recommended notifying the owner or the landlord that we will cancel lease and vacate the property on September the 1st, 2015. Following change orders have been approved and submitted for confirmation. There was just one, the amount of $13,000 to Graybach LLC. St. Bernard and Reading. At St. Bernard, the masonry is 100% complete. The window installation is approximately 80% complete, and we are awaiting the final delivery of glass. About 50% of the walls have been primed. The first coat of the tiles has been installed in the toilet rooms, and ceiling grid installed is underway and currently stands at about 25% complete. Plumbing fixtures have been installed and the site work is underway. At Reading, the masonry is 100% complete. The window installed is 80% complete, and we are waiting final delivery of glass. Most windows have been primed and first coated. The tiles have been installed in the toilet rooms. The ceiling grid has been installed in about 75% of the building. Light fixtures are currently being installed. Plumbing fixtures have been installed. Exterior work is underway. LEED certification. At the stage of the project, St. Bernard will have enough points to achieve LEED certified status. Reading will have enough points to achieve LEED silver status. Final decision and notification LEED certification we made close to the opening of each location. Contingency is $62,000 plus a little bit. The hours of operation you have in your report.
These would be an additional hours for these two branches. That's why it's in here. It's important for you to know that we will be increasing the hours by 8 hours a week at the new branches. Primarily, that's the Sunday hours, but I think another evening.
Thursday, 2 hours each.
Yeah.
And I presume there was some analytics to justify it.
Well, for one thing, the branches are just so much larger, and it's a shame to build new branches and not have the more robust schedule of hours.
When is the planned opening for these branches?
It's
Well,
in
I'm sorry,
here.
loud, I didn't hear.
Just be patient.
Coming.
Lease cancellation. There's no formal lease agreement with the city of St. Bernard for the current St. Bernard branch. We recommend notifying the city that the library will vacate property on August the 1st, 2015. Lease for the current Reading branch requires a 90-day notice for lease cancellation. We recommend notifying Peak Properties, the landlord for the current Reading branch. The library will cancel lease and vacate the property on August 1st, 2015. The rent for the final month will be prorated. There's some change orders that have to be approved for Valley Interior Systems, Waysbrock Masonry, and Avenue Fabricating. Key dates. While work is still underway and unforeseen circumstances could delay the projected completion of each project, we do have tentative target dates for each location. Once construction is completed and the library has access to each building, furniture will be installed by vendors. Staff will then install new technology equipment and move material from the existing location to new one. Below is a tentative timeline for each location. All right, Clifton, grand opening, that's what we're really interested in, is May the 28th, 5:30 p.m. St. Bernard, July 8th.
No,
June.
June 8th.
Oh, June, yeah.
Do you want to borrow some of my fingers?
June, yeah. And Reading is June the 23rd. They're all in the evening at 5:30.
We thought we might get better attendance if we had it in the evening or on a weekend rather than in the morning.
Might get live TV coverage
We
too.
might, yeah.
Question, please. And I know this isn't a precise comparison, but going back to the digital sign at the Clifton branch, I don't know if any of you or all of you are familiar with the digital sign outside of Crone Conservatory in Eden Park, but as a volunteer with the parks, that has elicited more controversy and concern. Now, I realize that's a park, that's a sylvan setting, there's a whole different atmosphere than along Ludlow Avenue, but I do wonder, and I think it's partly a process of my aging, whether it really is good neighborly, would people who live near there like a digital sign in their front yard or backyard? I'm really not.
That's why it's here. It's for this
Where
purpose.
exactly would the sign be?
What would it look like? Is it like flashing neon or?
I think we're talking something and where you're up Jefferson, so, you have our pylon sign, and then further down, we haven't really pinpointed, but we would think further down you would have,
It would be on library property?
yeah.
What's the upside? What unmet need or goal does it satisfy?
Well, this is really being driven by the community fund, not by us.
Well, but I'd like I guess I would like your recommendation or reaction, and how close would I want to live to it? That's just an immediate
Well,
proximity
I don't
and
think it
neighbor.
would be harmful to any residents because it would be facing out toward the street, and across the street is Burnett Woods, so there's not any homes directly across the street from it. On the It would let us promote library events, but, there is so somebody buys the sign one time, but if it fails 2 years later, that suddenly is our cost to maintain and take care of. And that's why I told them I really felt like this was something the board needed to discuss, whether or not we wanted to do this.
And it would require an additional variance, by the
Yes.
city as well.
Will it function 24 hours?
It could be shut off. I think they all have, and somebody who knows this better, yes, we could shut these off so that it could close, say, when the library closed and,
Or maybe at a certain time in the evening.
yeah.
And is it such an attractive notion conceptually that if we have the opportunity, we would like it at 39 other branches? I mean, it certainly sets a precedent.
Yeah, and my perspective is that we're probably gonna build the traffic anyway. I'm not sure if there's any incremental value add to bringing in the sign. But at the same token, I wanna, appreciate the fact that you have people in the community that think they're well-intended. They wanna do
Oh,
what is right.
absolutely.
So I don't wanna sort of squelch that, but I'm not sure if it actually incrementally is going to make somebody who wouldn't otherwise probably go anyway say, oh, wow, there's a sign. It's like advertising. I'm not
And
sure.
I just wonder whether to talk with them about what they want and whether it might be achieved in something, and again, my notion of aesthetics isn't worth anybody listening to, but Betsy, you have a thought?
Well, you said that it would be facing across the street, but wouldn't you be having it on two sides for traffic going this way and that way? I mean,
I don't think we've I don't know. what
We
would
didn't
be
want to
the
spend
best-
any time and energy on investigating it if you were, so if what you'd like us to do is do a little more and come back with like a more
Yeah.
formal proposal of what it would look like, we can do that.
That'd be helpful.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then will the community council vote on it?
The community fund, the
well,
community
the
fund has
Clifton.
already voted
Okay.
to fund it. So, but the Clifton Town Meeting, I don't know that they have talked with them about it at all. And that's their community council name is Clifton Town Meeting. But as Greg said, it does require a variance of the city. So anybody who was opposed to it would have the opportunity to go to that hearing and, or even send a
They could give us a
letter.
simulation, like a model of here's what the library would be and where this, that would maybe help.
Yeah.
I guess the two pieces of information I would like to have, because Clifton people are known for strong opinions and
Yes, they
sincere
are.
commitment. That's a real community. There's no question there. But their strong opinions and commitment are not always in the same direction. If they were to be able to represent that this did indeed reflect a consensus wish, so that we don't find ourselves in the middle of a flap within a community we're trying
For
to
something
serve.
that really was not our
No,
initial.
I mean, I'd like to know what the town meeting
The consensus.
does say, and I'd also like to know, based on what the community fund, and I think Ross's point is so well taken, that this is well intended as a gesture of support. Is there some other thing that you and the library feel would be as or more useful that they might do with the same funds to recognize their pleasure and appreciation for the gesture being extended?
I would say that it's really more about promoting other community events than supporting the library. So they already gave us money to restore the painted glass window at the top of the stairs at Clifton. So they're really looking at this as being something
A
that
quid
would,
pro quo.
yeah, we could also use it to promote library events, but it really would be a way for them to get the word out about other community events.
And then who would pass judgment on which event we wanted?
Exactly.
It sounds like, under the broad heading of potentially more trouble than it's worth. And I think it should be dealt with in a respectful and appreciated way. But I think the proposal
I'll
at
do
this
my
point
best.
is, you generally behave well. That's not my greatest anxiety. I'd be careful. And I also think then the question is, why don't we have one at the Sims branch, and do they want one? And even if it doesn't keep your children
You
awake
would
at
pay for
night, does it feel like being a good neighbor to people around it? And if it doesn't, I think that whether the light shines in your apartment or not isn't the issue. If it feels unfriendly, it probably is unfriendly. Tell me what you really think, Paul.
I think we should make provisions in the construction.
We already do have electric ones.
Okay, so there's electric available, all right. And then we need more information about what the sign is gonna look like, how big it is, and where it's gonna be located,
And
before
the
we
com-
can
and the
make a
community
determination.
sentiment.
And the broad community sentiment from various sources. The Cultural Arts Center, perhaps. Maybe they could put it there.
Maybe they tried. I don't know. Maybe
Well, I
they
was
got
gonna
the same
say, and I'll
answer.
bet the neighbors perhaps weren't as enthusiastic.
Okay, I move to accept the report with the exception of the sign in Clifton to be studied more before we accept
Is
it.
there a second?
I second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Okay, to continue report, Price Hill Branch basement flooring being assessed. The staff recently became aware of instability in a portion of the Price Hill basement floor. THP has been hired to perform a thorough inspection of the basement flooring, prepare a structural review for its stability, make recommendations for possible repair options. Space is currently off limits. We need more explanation on that.
Well, it was a little puzzling because there's a wooden flooring in that basement. So we were puzzled as to why that was, and I think in looking into it in some investigation, that, of course, that's a Carnegie, and there was a concrete floor originally for that auditorium. And at some point, which was a step down to it, at some point in history, and you may know the history, but somebody, they decided to put down a wooden floor joist and subflooring to level that floor. And so when you're walking on it, it started feeling a little iffy. And so we had staff go out and look at it. In a couple spots, they pulled up the carpet. It looked like there was some deterioration of the wood. So we decided to put off limits, get engineers in there, and get a good assessment of what the issue is. But it was a little odd because why would you have a wooden subfloor in a basement? But apparently that's what somebody did at some point.
To raise the elevation, make it level.
Right, to make it level with the entire.
Okay, obviously the wood is deteriorated. Okay, that concludes my report, and we need approval of the change orders and the other items.
I think we all need
I think Mrs. Lamakia's motion covered that.
Covered everything?
With the exception of further study regarding the sign.
All right.
Any questions of Mr. Hendon? Thank you. All right, Ms. Fender, would you introduce our program?
Oh, do you want me to?
If you will.
Well, we have with us Tara Kressler, who is the branch manager here at the Sims branch. And as you can see, she's been with the library for a few years, and at numerous locations in that relatively short tenure. So it's not a short tenure. 1996 is a long time. So she's received 2 MVP awards and was also the recipient of the President's Award in 2004. And she's been on numerous project teams and a Management Academy coach. She's going to talk with us about how they piloted the branch business plans. As soon as I start her slideshow.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Sims branch. I'm really excited to have you all here. We've been anticipating your arrival for a few months now, so this is exciting. One thing that people can say about the branch is that it's busy. And there's a few reasons why. One reason is because people like to visit. We had 14,462 people attend programs last year with a total of 245,464 visitors to the branch. Our community likes our resources. We're the top circulating branch in digital materials with 10,765,000 items in March downloaded and 88,281 items last year. We offer super popular story times with hundreds of kids coming each month. Last month, we had more than 500 children. We've been the top circulating branch since I began managing nearly 8 years ago. Our circulation for last year was 243,877, and last month we did 60,976. So what do all these numbers mean? There are a lot of them that were thrown at me. And what it tells me is that we have a lot of people and a lot of materials running through the branch. And I really wanted to see how best we could serve this community. Orange Boy provided me an opportunity to apply their data to this community. And from that, I was able to create a business plan designed to meet the needs of my top 3 clusters. Here are my clusters. Orange Boy showed me how the community uses this branch, and I was able to identify the top 3 types. The blue on this page are the page turners, the gold is the bedtime stories, and the green are the digitarians. Okay. The page turners account for 17%. These people are our most avid readers and the backbone of our community. They come in every week and get their new releases plus a few extras. Next are the bedtime stories at 18%. These people come in as a family for programs and check out kids' books. Lots of kids' books. Next, we have digitarians for 16%. This one surprised me as being a top cluster for Sims. These are people who are downloading ebooks from home. They have devices like Kindles and iPads, and they're closely connected to their electronics. They use the library website, and they know our resources. I took this data and applied it to a branch audit. It was an honest look at what Sims is doing in terms of programs and staffing and statistics. It encouraged me to look closely at how we're doing things now, along with what I learned through the data provided, and encouraged me to set some goals. Go ahead. I decided to name digitarians as my top goal. Because digitarians aren't actually using up my branch while in the branch, it was a bit of a pleasant surprise. We do a lot of introducing of the service to our community along with device troubleshooting, and it was gratifying to see this kind of circulation as a direct outcome. Since the basic service and device troubleshooting are in such high demand, I wanted to take this out to the community. I developed a timeline, which is next, and from there worked with the staff to create a program. Recently in March, Brendan and I presented this program to a group of 28 retirees, all with their own Kindles and iPads. What a large and enthusiastic group. It was a tremendous success. And this experience will serve as the pilot to expand to all locations and for all managers to do the same for their communities in the near future. That's it. Thank you.
That's really cool. Questions?
I always like coming up with new words. I'm gonna start using a digitarian.
All right.
Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions? Thank you for welcoming us.
We do plan to have every branch develop a business plan now that Tara has been the one to pilot that for us as a system, and she can be a resource for those other branches as they kind of struggle with understanding how to do this.
Tara, what is or are the greatest challenges you feel you face in even more responsive service for the area you serve?
A big challenge is taking all those numbers and seeing all the people and kind of drilling down to see who is coming in and using them. And then, because we're so busy, we get kind of caught up in that busyness. And to take a moment to sort of sort through all of that and really see what our users are doing. The digitarians was a nice surprise because they're not actually in our branch. We don't know who they are. So it was great to see our hard work, helping people as they come in and showing them how to download books and things like that, seeing that outcome in that statistic.
And they're kind of the opposite of both the page turners and the bedtime stories, who you probably know fairly well and see on a regular basis.
It's like the page turners converted into digitarians. They were reading our books, and then now they've moved into reading them at home on their devices.
What about the non-users? Do you have a sense of the demographics of those who might properly encouraged, educated, persuaded, marketed to benefit from our services who aren't? I don't know the demographics well enough of your target reach.
Our inactive users, I think is the term, is very minimal. A larger group is the occasionals. And the challenge is to move them, people who come in, not really on a regular basis, but when they need something, and to move them into more regular library patrons. And that's what we are choosing to focus on, is how do we get our community to come in for more than just, once or twice randomly.
Are those people, may those people be more into the electronics and the digital books as opposed to?
Yeah, perhaps, and I think that's a reason why the business plan was such a good exercise, because then I was able to kind of see what all that is and establish some goals to reach those people.
Other questions? Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the hospitality.
Thanks for having me.
Draw, it's 10 o'clock, it's after 10, it's time.
Tara was speaking, so I couldn't interrupt. Barbara, would you like to draw for the 10 o'clock break?
Pick me.
Well, they are winning big today, outreach services. That's like the second one.
I'm gonna go give this a rate.
Elaine will.
Greg, will you go on?
Sure, be happy to. Going to report quickly. Meeting room policy revision, we are recommending changing the meeting room policy to include a $50 fee for any groups or individuals using the meeting rooms for events such as weddings, birthday parties, anniversary parties, and other celebrations. And really the reason for the change is the nature of the events themselves, and that they tend to be a lot of people, food and drink, requires cleanup afterwards for staff, and so we're recommending adding that fee and also changing the policy with the fee and also adding that to the table of fines and fees. This has been reviewed by the company.
And so then who would be exempt from, or what groups would be exempt from the charge?
Well, anyone other than groups or individuals using it for these specific sort of celebrations. So
Gotcha.
birthday party, but anyone else.
Anything
a group of a
personal as opposed
meeting
to
or-
any 501c3 organization
Correct.
would be exempt from that.
Right, yeah,
Good.
They wouldn't likely be having a birthday party.
right.
No,
It is, yeah. We're recommending, or we're going to have, a fine forgiveness day in honor of the new branch opening, so Clifton, St. Bernard, Reading, each day, or when they open, the night of their opening as well as the following day, anyone who visits those locations will have their fine forgiven. So certainly the intent is to draw people into those celebrations and those visits as well. No fine.
But they
will
have
be
to go
forgiven.
to that particular location on that date. It's not, no call-ins, no.
Summer learning program is right around the corner, June 1 through July 31st, and we're piggybacking on the Major League Baseball's All-Star Game is coming to the city in July, and so our summer learning program will be labeled All-Star Readers. 4 elements of summer learning. The traditional summer reading program continues for all ages. We're focusing on or incorporating STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math concept into a baseball team, so for all ages. Summer camp reading, which has demonstrated very solid results last year when we participated in this. We'll host, 7 branches will host this. It's a targeted intervention program that has very strong results in terms of improving reading. So Bond Hill, College Hill, Quarryville, Coverdale, Northside, Pleasant Ridge, and Westwood were named.
We did use Price Hill last year, but because of the concern over the flooring, we're moving to Covedale.
Brain camps. These are week-long sort of themed events. Their theme will be All-Star Explorers. They'll take place, many of them will take place at William Hunnicky Homework Center at the main library, as well as 20 other locations. We'll have some mini brain camps with themes of science, of sport, and those will be conducted at the locations that don't have the week-long brain camp. And then summer lunch services. We'll offer those at 14 locations for anyone ages 18 and under, and those are, we partner with CPS as well as the Window Arts Enrichment.
That's the same number of locations as last year.
Yeah.
I think so.
The library's partnered with the St. Bernard Historical Society to create a digital collection of the historical photographs and memorabilia about the St. Bernard community, which will roll out when we open that brand. Something we've also done over the years is digitize high school yearbooks. However, because of copyright, we can't publish those anything earlier printed after 1922. Walnut Hills High School has signed on as the first high school to grant permission to the library to post more recent yearbooks. So we'll be digitizing those yearbooks and then make those available on our website. So exciting.
That probably come along as teenagers now get older and they're electronically
Right.
connected. And
Right.
you'll probably be doing it for a lot of high schools.
Yeah. It's a nice service. As you know, we've reported previously, the Clifton, Reading, and St. Bernard branches will open their new locations with a fully mobile service model. and this means no public desk. Staff will be mobile. They'll have handheld devices. They will be throughout the building providing service to the public where they are. They'll be using a number of devices, and I'll kind of show you just real quick a couple of the things that they have. They'll be using Surface Pro tablets that they'll have with them and carry, and this is just a carrier that they attach a tablet to and carry it. We have been piloting this at Westwood Branch as well as the main library's Information Reference Department, so we've been doing that for a little while. They also have a nice handheld scanner that they can use. There's also this nice wireless belt clip printer. So there are a lot of devices that staff can actually use when they're walking around. This here is a mobile cart, which we will have one at each of those locations. So if you need to take a customer, or you need to take the cart to the customer because you need to sit down, or you need a place, you need a surface, you need a mouse, you need a keyboard, you need a larger screen to sort of interact with them, we'll use the cart because they can take their tablet and mount it there onto the docking station, and then it displays on the cart. Yeah, but it's we're very excited about it. It's a new service model, not just for us, but it really is cutting edge in libraries in general.
Are you anticipating that the functional service in the new Clifton branch, because of the physical space configuration being significantly different than in any other branch, at least of which I'm aware, will require special consideration?
Well,
It's really, actually, the way we did the floor plans for that, we have several branches that actually do function on 2 floors. Now, Clifton will have a 3rd floor, but that is staff space and meeting rooms only. So in that sense, we've made it so that it's not so staff intensive to operate.
The other thing about the new locations, we reported previously that we are RFID the collection. So we're putting radio frequency ID tags, which basically it is this, a little 1-by-1 tag on each of our items. In fact, Sims is undergoing conversion currently, so that this allows for easier checkout. And what every location will have at the end of this week, in fact, self-checkout. So the ability for anyone to go up, check out their own material at the self-checkout device. When Clifton St. Bernard Reading as they open, we'll turn on the RFID technology at those locations. And what that does is allow the customer to come up to the screen, scan their library card, and then rather than scan the barcode to check out the material, the item for themselves, they basically place it on the device. They place it on an antenna, or get it real close to it, and it will check it out instantly. You can actually take not just one item, but you can take several items and stack them and just set them there, and it checks them out instantly. It's really, really nice. So we're going to roll that out with each of the branches. We'll turn it on, and then after Reading is open, we'll turn it on to all the other branches that are live with the tagging, and then we'll complete tagging hopefully by the end of the year. Also associated with that, we have self-checkout, but those locations will also have self-check-in. And it really is as simple as returning the book into the book drop. The drop boxes are RFID boxes, so at the end of them, there's basically a scanner, and when you return your item in the exterior book drop or interior book drop, it checks it in. So we'll have self-checkout, check-in. We have self-registration, so the ability to set out a device, enter your own library card, like staff will issue that. So we're going to be very self-service and very, very mobile. Any questions about all that?
And we have the equipment here. After we finish the end of this report, we'll be happy to show it to you and take your around.
We're very excited. I mentioned self-checkout. We've been updating the technology, the software. In fact, Sims has theirs updated, and there were 11 locations, branches that do not currently have self-check. At the end of this week, they will be live on self-check, and then by the end of the month, we'll have upgraded the software for all of those locations. So that's a project that's underway and happy to complete. A few programs, I'll go through these real quick. Technology programming for all ages, service operations and technology operations are collaborating to provide some technology-related programs to really take it to another level. We're looking at coding for women, coding for girls, coding classes and how to build websites and those things. We'll do those at the main library's makerspace. We'll also do some day-long programs at the new locations as well. LDIA, this is an annual program, Children's Book Day, and we partner with Kent County Public Library and Lane Public Library, and it's an exciting library fiesta celebrating all cultures. And it'll take place April 25th from 1 to 4. Comic-Con is coming again, the third time. We'll have Comic-Con at the main library on May 16th, noon to 5. It includes artists, writers, game creators, event partner booths, free comic books. All will be there at the main library for 5 hours on the 16th. Find Momo. Since 2012, photographer Andrew Knapp and his border collie, Momo, have ensnared the hearts of more than 300,000 Instagram users. The duo made their literary debut in 2013 with Find Momo. Andrew and Momo will visit the main library on the 23rd of May at 2 o'clock for a presentation and book signing. I'm not sure if Momo's doing book signing, but
He put his paw on it.
put his paw on it. Artists Reaching Classrooms at Museum of Art's annual Artists Reaching Classrooms exhibit will be on view April 22nd to May 15th. The students from 12 area high schools exhibit artwork, including painting, photography, digital design, and ceramics. Then Design Lab, formerly Architecture by Children, and Cincinnati's annual Student Architectural Design Education Program and Competition. This will be on display at the main library from the 25th of April through May 2nd. This year's project theme is dwelling. The students are challenged to design a place to live for a chosen client that may be contemporary, fictional, historical, or otherwise.
Questions for Mr. Edwards? Thank you very much.
We do need approval for the policy change.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
That's it.
Greg? Oh, I thought you had a question. Is there any further business to come before this meeting? Hearing none, is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor? See you at various exciting events and at the next June 9th board meeting at Groesbeck.